Shalom Aleichem. Mishnah Yomi is holding in Shekalim, chapter 8, Mishnah Dolet, parochet, the curtain. Now this could refer to the famous curtain separating the Kodesh and the Kodesh Kodeshim. That was actually a pair of humongous curtains in the second temple. In the first temple, which was a smaller building, there was a wall there called the Amma Truxlin. It was an Amma wide. The second temple was taller, and a wall couldn't be built with the same width and the same structural integrity, so they used two curtains instead. The Gemara describes it in Bava Basra. But this parochet could also be a number one of the other curtains that the Gemara refers to in Yomi that were around the temple courtyard. Anyway, whichever curtain this is, shenitmate, it became tamei bevlad hatuma, with a secondary source of ritual impurity. Now that might sound strange, and the reason is a secondary tuma is only effective on food and drink. Recall, a source of tuma, an av hatuma, a father of tuma, can contaminate people and make them a sheni, and the people can contaminate food and drink, but not people and kalim, and curtain is a kli. So what's going on here is this tuma is a rabbinical tuma, and it's davka by vlada tuma of mashkin, of beverages, because there was reason to confuse these with certain liquids which are an av hatuma. Those are liquids that come out of the body of a zav or a zava or a nida. These liquids could be an av hatuma, and there could be confusion between these and liquids which are really a secondary tuma. So rabbinically, kalim could become tameh in certain circumstances from a vlad hatuma, from a secondary tuma. So what would we do when the spit hits the fan, rather the curtain in this instance? Matbilinota, we would take it to the mikveh bifnim, inside the temple azara. They had a mikveh there in the temple. They would take it there, machnisinota miyad, and you could put it back immediately. So because it's a rabbinical tuma, it's not a deraisa level tuma, you didn't have to take it out of the temple mount to an outside mikveh, and you could put it back right away. You don't have to wait for harav shemesh for sunset. But if a parochet got hit with an avatuma, a real biblical source of tuma contamination impurity, they would take it off the temple mount to a separate mikveh, and they would spread it out in the chayil. Now the chayil is the area outside, it's on the temple mount, but it's outside the temple walls. We'll actually read on Shabbat that they would send out impure people from the machane, from the camp, and this includes impure kalim from the temple. And if this was a new parochet, a new curtain, al gaga itztabah, they would put it over the roof of the columns. They'd hang it up very high where everyone could see it, kadesha yiru ha'am, that everyone will see it, at malachtan shina, that it's a beautiful, wonderful curtain. Now this isn't showing off. This is showing people, look, we took your shkalim, you gave your shkalim to the temple, and part of that shkalim and part of your donations and your support is used to make the temple beautiful. On to Mishnah Hay with more about the parochet. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Rabbi Shimon says, Mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Askan. He says it in the name of Rabbi Shimon, the son of the Skan, probably the Skan of Kohanim, who worked in the temple and heard about this firsthand. Parochet ovia tefach. This parochet was a tefach thick. This is quite thick for a curtain. All shivim ushnaim nimim neregit. It's woven on a machine with 72, they call them heddle shafts. Basically, there's a crisscross, and you need something to raise and lower the alternating threads to weave in between. It's not really a machine, you understand. It's basically it's a huge loom, and you use something to alternate raising and lowering to get the threads through. There were 72 of these. And each of these threads was 24 strands per thread. So all these threads, to begin with, are humongous. Arka arba'im amma, and the length of this curtain was 40 amma high, rochba esrim amma, and 20 amma wide. And these are the dimensions, the inside dimensions of the Kodesh, of the holy area of the temple, and also the Kodesh Kodashim. So this curtain is going in between the Kodesh and the Kodesh Kodashim, dividing that space inside the temple building itself. Umishmonim ushte ribo nasit. It's made from 820,000 threads. So they need 820,000 threads to make it. There's another girsa, some bring, it was 820,000 revolt. Young ladies were involved in weaving and, spinning and weaving and processing and dyeing and all of the malachot required. Recall that these threads were different colors, dyed wool, techelis, argaman, tolat shani, v'sheish, like the pasuk says. It was very complicated to build such a curtain. Ushtayim osim b'kol yom, and they would make 2 curtains every year. Now the reason is brought in the Gemara that there was actually smoke on the mizbeach hazachav. They were burning ketoret, and inside they were on Yom Kippur. They also on the Kodesh Kodashim offered ketoret. So there was smoke hitting these curtains and darkening them. So it was kedai to replace them every year. Ushlosh kohanim matbilin ota, and you needed 300 kohanim to put it in the mikveh and pull it out. You understand, once curtains or tapestries or rugs get wet, they're extremely heavy. You need 300 kohanim to schlep it out of the mikveh. Sei gesund, chazak aruch, and be well.